Good day, everyone. I'm Engineer Shane, and today I'm going to discuss the topic in construction engineering management, 5 phases of project management. For the learning outcomes, by the end of this discussion, students should be able to identify the 5 project management phases. With that, let's proceed with the 5 phases of project management. First, initiation, then planning, third is execution, fourth is monitoring, and five is the closeout. As you can see here, this is the phases, meaning it starts with initiation and ends with closeout. So let's discuss what are these specific phases. As you can read here, project initiation, this includes research on the feasibility of the project, whether the project is to be done or not. If feasibility testing is needed, this is the stage of the project in which it will be executed. To share it with you, once the client had the idea of a structure, that is where the initiation started. And then, once the client know what he wants to make it to life type of structure, but he is not capable of doing it. He is not technical person who can build a house or a structure. That's why this is also the time in the initiation process wherein the client will contact designers, specifically architect, a structural engineer, and the rest. Also, as part of the feasibility study, it is also part wherein the soil investigation, the site investigation will happen. So there will be also a participation of the geotechnical engineer to know what is the soil profile. If based on the client's idea, well, the structure can be designed by a structural designer. For example, the client has a lot beside the river. And then the client has the idea to have a structure that is a high-rise building. So upon feasibility study, based on what he wants, can the architect design it? Yes. Can the structural design the high-rise building? Yes. Can the soil handle the idea of the client? We will know by the geotechnical engineer. Has the client does the client has the budget for it, for the high-rise building beside the river? I hope yes. So initiation phase of the project management is the start of everything. It starts with the client who has an idea, and then the designers will be involved. Sometimes consultant will also be involved in this part of the project because, as I mentioned a while ago, client is not technical in terms of construction. So that's why a client sometimes need a consultant for the client to be helped on the technical things aside from the designers. Next, planning. From the word itself, this involves identifying the cost or budget, the quality, available resources, and a realistic schedule. The project plans also include setting up of baselines or performance measures. These are produced using the scope, schedule, and cost of a project. A baseline schedule is essential to determine if a project is on track. So after the initiation phase, once the design, the plans are done, once the soil profile is done as well, once the feasibility study is done, the lot is okay, the budget of the client is okay, now we will be proceeding with the planning. This is the time where you will be making baselines. Baseline meaning a starting point, a guide for the basis of your accomplishment. So what are involved in the planning, the cost of the project, the what needs to be procured or bought. These are the resources. We have the materials, the manpower, and the equipment that will be used, and also the duration of the project. It needs to be scheduled. Every time, for you to easily understand what planning is, imagine us going on a trip. And with that, what do you prepare? when you will be going on a trip, you prepare yourself, you prepare your itinerary, you prepare your budget, you prepare the things that you will be bringing, whether it's food, whether it's clothes, money, who will you be with? You're also planning that. And then what time will you be going there? That's itinerary. So with that, that is also similar with construction. You need to plan first, because if you construct without planning the budget, the materials that you will be using, the resources, the timeline of the project, you will not be executing well. You will just react based on what is happening if you don't plan. So with that, let's proceed with the third phase, the project execution. So this is the phase wherein the deliverables are developed and completed. Meaning, whatever is planned based on what is designed, this is where it all happens. And this is also called the construction phase, the execution of the plan. There will be most of the activities which needs to be done happen in this phase, which is why project execution feels like the core of the project, because this is where all it happens. Status reports and meetings, development updates, and performance reports are done during this phase. Also in this phase, you will now be seeing accomplishment of the building. Whatever is designed, whatever is planned, you are now seeing it in action. So that's why if you look around and there are ongoing construction, that is the execution phase of the project. And it's in the middle already. And normally it is the longest one, because that's where all it happens, all the activities that is needed for the building to be constructed. Next, once execution or ongoing construction is happening, alongside with it is monitoring. The meaning of it is measuring the project progress and performance and ensuring that everything happening is in accordance with the project management. So for you to easily understand what monitoring is as part of the phases of the project management, it is checking if everything on plan is happening in actual. We need to check if what is being planned is happening in the execution phase. For example, you plan that the activity 1 will happen in 4 days. As for execution, the activity 1 happened in 3 days. So with that, how can you monitor it? How will you evaluate it? Is the activity 1 ahead of schedule, delayed of schedule, or just on schedule? Again, the plan is 4 days. The actual is 3 days. So if you will be evaluating it as per your monitoring, activity number 1 is ahead of schedule. And the rest. So all of the activities based on what is planned should be measured based on what is in actual. That's why I mentioned a while ago, we need to do the planning, because we cannot monitor, we cannot measure anything if we don't have any baseline or any guide of the starting point. And with monitoring, if you will be asking, okay, we monitor it, what is the use of that? What is the purpose of that? The purpose of that is, if you can monitor, if you can measure, if you can evaluate, you can improve or you can continue what are the things that you are doing well. If it is delayed, or you measure that you are lack of something based on what is planned, based on what is ideal, you can improve on that as well. On the other hand, if you don't have any planned things and you're not also getting actual results, you cannot improve anything because you don't know anything. So I hope in the monitoring phase, as a future construction management specialist, you will be encouraged to do the planning first, then do actual monitoring, actual results, and then evaluate it. So if you also be asking, monitoring is in accordance with the execution phase. But you cannot monitor anything if nothing has started yet. So that's why monitoring is in the fourth process. So with that, in the last one, once all of the execution, construction phase, based on what is planned and what is designed on the initiation phase is done, you will now be having the closeout. Meaning, includes the performing a project punch list of the things that didn't get accomplished during the project and work with team members to complete them. So this is the phase wherein you will be completing all the needed work that is from the idea of the client. With that, you will, before you turn it over or doing the closeout, you will be doing a project punch list. It is a list of the things that with comments that you need to improve. Once all of the punch lists are done, then is the time where the client will accept the finished work of the contractor, and then it can be announced as a complete project. And after completing the project, it can now be of use by the client. So I hope you learned something today from the 5 phases of project management. Every phase is important and every phase should be done in process. See you on the next one.